What are your early memories of Hulk Hogan from the territory in AWA?
Just that he came in and I was already there as a heel, so Vern was the one that made Hulk a babyface, because Hulk had always been a heel up to that point. And so it was Vern that, because he had me on one side, he couldn't have two of us, I guess. So Vern came up with the idea to make Hulk the babyface. It was good timing, because when the Rocky movie came out, it would be hard for Hogan to have been pushed that hard with the movie role had he been a heel. It was much easier to push him as a babyface with the Rocky movie.
Easy to work with in the ring?
Yeah, he dislocated my jaw one night, though, in Eau Claire. By a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one where you're doing the test of strength, and usually when he gets me, I'll kick him and get him down again.
Right.
And then in the end, they reverse it. Well, he kicked too soon and reversed too soon. He kicked me right in the point of the jaw, and he dislocated my jaw, and he knew it. And so we had to go another 15 minutes, and I got a dislocated jaw, and he was wonderful. I beat the crap out of him. He didn't do a thing to me,
right.
And I had to go immediately to the hospital in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, when the match was over, and have the doctor yank my jaw back in place, and that wasn't a pleasant moment. But I didn't blame Hulk for that. It's just an accident that happened. He certainly didn't do it intentionally. When I came back to Vince, here's what went down.
Who stood you off? One of the boys?
Hogan.
Hogan stood you off, okay.
Well, that was because of the lawsuit.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, during the lawsuit, we had to depose Vince. I told my attorney about the union thing. I said, if you can find out who told Vince in this deposition, and I told him those stories. So at that point, my attorney's very brilliant, because they ended up beating Vince.
Right.
He had Vince sitting there, and he said, Mr. McMahon, in deposition, he says, has wrestling ever had a union? And Vince, of course, said no. My attorney said, has anyone ever tried to form a union? And Vince paused me. He said, yeah. He said, I think Jesse Ventura spouted his mouth off about it one time or another, because now Vince didn't like me. I'm suing him, right? And my attorney said, well, did you hear Mr. Ventura say it? And Vince, with no hesitation, oh, no, Hulk Hogan told me. And I didn't show no emotion, but I almost fell to the floor, because Hogan was a friend. And I found out, my God, it was Hogan who stooged me to Vince for trying to, and Hogan denies it. Well, Vince admitted it under oath in a federal deposition, and he also admitted it on Larry King's show, because Larry breached the subject with him, and he backed it up again. So you tell me who's lying, Hogan or Vince?
Wow. You were very protective of your family during your time as governor. Are you surprised that, I guess, Hulk Hogan has put his family out there in the way he has?
I would never put my family on a reality show. And in fact, if you listen to Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne today, they said it was a major mistake.
Right.
Even though I'm sure they made a ton of money. Yeah. But I've learned Hogan will prostitute himself for anything.
I got nothing but respect for Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of people like Ric Flair don't understand, and even Hulk Hogan, little African-American kids, not that I was a kid, but there's a lot of them, looked up to those guys also. They may not have known it, but African-Americans looked up to them too. You got to realize, we also looked up to Leave It to Beaver and all these fucking shows when we were kids too, because that's all that's on. And if you see the top guys in the wrestling business that are all white guys getting over doing it, that's all that's on. So we admire them too. Mm-hmm. They might not know it, but we do. That's why so many people, African Americans, was disappointed when they heard about the Hogan thing.
Right. Which again takes us back to the N-word.
Right.
And that whole Gawker situation.
Right.
I mean, what do you make of all that?
Hey, it is what it is, man. Hey, man, I don't get in fucking people business, as you well see.
Right.
When Hogan, hey, that's their business. My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Yeah.
Get out of it at your own will. I don't really have a comment on it.
Yeah.
That's y'all shit.
But do you think Hogan can come back from doing something like that? Or do you think that's always going to follow him around kind of like a scarlet letter where he's painted with that and that's it?
You might be right. I don't know. I went on the Stephen A. Smith show, and he asked me that same thing. And I told him Hulk Hogan put me and my brother in a position to do what we did. We got a push because of Hulk Hogan. And I'll never forget that. And I will always be indebted to him for that. That does not mean I respect what he did or respect what he, where he is now. I don't know where his mind is, and that's what I was telling Stephen A. Smith. You know, some people can be a drunk, a junkie, and get up every day, and you'll never know it. So you don't think a person can be a just deep embedded racist and not live his day from day to day, live his life from day to day? Yes, they can do that. I don't know what Hulk Hogan's heart is, but I don't bear any ill will toward Hulk Hogan. That's what he felt at that time. He's never treated me like that. But I'm not saying I'm going to forget what I heard.
Right.
If a man apologized and he really is sincere about his apology, I will forgive him. That don't mean I forget. Me and Hogan has always been cool. I've never had a problem with the man because people have asked me, have Hogan ever showed racist tendencies? Hogan is the blackest white dude I ever met in my life. If that makes sense.
How so?
Because he just I can tell the man has been around African Americans. You can tell when white people have been around African Americans. You can tell when certain Caucasians have been around African Americans. It's just a certain swag they got.
Yeah.
It is. And you can hear it in their voice. You know what I'm saying? And especially what they do. So that's why I say influence, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know, that still don't mean a person is not bigoted or something like that. So, but if you talk to Hogan, you will see what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, same thing with Kevin Nash. Same thing. You could tell Kevin Nash knew everything about R&B music. He was a basketball player also. Mm-hmm. Everything about R&B music. When I tell you everything, I thought I knew music. Kevin Nash eat me alive. These are conversations we used to have.
Yeah.
And he would bring up people, I'm like, damn, I forgot about that. I feel like, man, I let Kevin Nash know more than me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't supposed to know more than me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can tell, you know what I'm saying? He's been around a lot of brothers, so that's how you know all this. You have to listen to this music to know it. You can't just look at the top 40 every week and go, okay, blah, blah, blah. You have to listen to it. You know what I'm saying? That's music.
Right.
You got to know it, you got to listen to it. So I bear no ill will with Hulk Hogan. None. Hulk Hogan was always good to me. Always cool.
So you think Hogan had more influence in the back?
I think he had more influence than what everybody gives him credit for.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think he's a politician?
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? He's Hulk Hogan. You don't get to be Hulk Hogan without knowing how to work the game.
Right.
You know?
But you always had good dealings with him.
I always got to go with Hogan. I wasn't a friend with Hogan like Hawk or Nasty Boys or any of those guys were. Because then again, I wasn't the guy that liked to do those kind of things. Now, Hulk's a lot different today. If he was a Hulk Hogan today, I think we would have got along fine. But back then, it wasn't like that.
Do you think he got a raw deal by WWE, or you think they were justified?
I think it's because it's a publicly traded company.
Right.
That's why he got hand slapped. There's not one of us in the wrestling business, black or white, that hasn't said something stupid like that in their privacy of their own hotel room.
Right.
Now, for some idiot to record it and play it publicly, that's why Hogan won the lawsuit.
Right.
And he should have won the lawsuit. I don't think it should have been out there in TMZ or any other things because it's not any of their people's business or news. Somehow we got our news system in the U.S. has gotten so jacked up that they think everybody's got the right to know everything, and they really don't. So I think Hogan got really a raw deal. How you could take them off the WWE website, how you can not honor him as the greatest guy that's ever been in WWE, I don't know.
Right.
Because he is. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I'll tell you right now, there would be no Roman Reigns, there would be no Cena, there would be no Ultimate Warrior, nobody else. The company would be dead.
Agreed. Do you think they'll ever bring him back?
No. I don't see it. I don't see it. I heard rumblings that they were going to do it. If they were going to do it, they would have done it already. I don't know what capacity they would bring him back in. I know somebody threw it around online that he was going to do one last hurrah with Flair, but then Flair got sick, so that's out of the window. I don't know for what reason he would ever want to get back in the ring.
Maybe not to work, but just bring him back as an ambassador or something
Well, maybe
along
as
those
ambassador,
lines.
bro, but I think that particular interview is done. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that particular interview, the way he did it then, I think is done. You know, say your prayers, little Hulkamaniacs. I think that era's done. Now, if he came and reinvented a little bit and changed it up, it might work, but I don't know if he could. Now, I don't know. I think he's too big a name to have him come in and be the commissioner of Raw or whatever that position is there, they call it, you know, general manager of Raw or SmackDown. He's above that, man.
Agreed.
He's above that. But if they worked a gimmick where he would buy in and become part owner of WWE, then it could be Hogan as owner against Shane McMahon as owner. Then I think you could have a battle. Because I think Vince needs to go like this. He needs to slip out. He can stay behind the scenes, but I think that the new face like Shane or Hunter's got to be involved, where you have the new school guys' ideas against Hulk Hogan's ideas, and you have them clash with talent. I think that would work.
Right.
And I think it would be cool, and I think the fans would love it if Hogan says, hey, say he's got the Raw or SmackDown crew. Listen, all this high-flying bullcrap that everybody's doing and nobody's selling finishes ain't going to cut it. This is the way we're going to do business. I think the fans want to see it go back to basics. Because I think so many times in a match, they're going like this, like it's a ping pong match going boom, 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 boom. They can't register all the crap that's going on in the ring.
Right.
They're lost. You know, the smart fan can, like you're a smart fan, you know, I love the guys I know are smart. Smart fan can figure it out, but the guy who's being introduced to it, they can't figure it out. There's surely not the 10 and 12-year-old doesn't know what's going on.
You know what? It's like anything else, you know. It's like Hulk has a completely different aspect of the business. Eric has a completely different aspect of the business. Vince has a different aspect. Dixie has a different aspect. So now all of a sudden, you know, like, and I've used this analogy before. It's like there's this pot and it's on the fucking kettle, and me and Sean say, hey man, you know, it'd be good right now, it'd be some fucking venison chili.
Yeah.
So we put venison in, and we put some chili beans in, and we put some other shit, and we walk away. And then they grab it and they go, was there a piss test? And they both, the two guys piss in it. And then Dixie says, what is there, a stool sample? And fucking she shits in it. And then fucking Russo goes, what is it, matzo balls? Matzo ball soup? He throws matzo balls in it. And then fucking somebody tastes it.
Somebody shakes a little duck butter in on top just for
a little head cheese. And then it's just like, you know, it's like there's way too many chefs. You got Hulk that's got like major stroke, that's went through like 6 back surgeries. You know, and you can say what you want to about Hulk Hogan. I mean, like, when we first like got with him, me and Scott were like, you know, Hulk, you know, he's the legend, let's chop him down. But the more you're around him, you're like, no man, like Hulk's who he is because Hulk's Hulk. And like now it's just like, you watch the fucking guy, you know, he's 3 days on back surgery. He's walking down the ramp, he's walking through shit, he's in so much fucking pain, but this mother, you know, he's the kind of guy, he's the guy in Monty Python, he's missing 2 arms, he's going, merely a flesh wound, merely a flesh wound. I mean, that's Hulk, you know, so it's just like, he's laying in fucking bed right now, he can't even fucking sit up, he's doing fucking flip fuckings from the bed, you know, saying, you know, and I know for a fact that motherfucker will be across the ring from me at Bound for Glory. And he'll fucking perform, you know? I mean, that's Hulk. Hulk's not at 100%, you know? And Eric feeds a lot off of Hulk, you know? And then Russo doesn't know, I don't think where the power, like, you know, there's like that power kind of shifts, so he doesn't know where he's at. And
a lot of guys walking on eggshells around there too, not wanting to step on toes. I noticed that when I was back there, you know. Right. And it was a big situation like that.
And it's just like it's growing. Like when you can't bring in Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. It's not like you're bringing in 2 fucking ham and eggers. I mean, you're bringing the only guy in the history of fucking professional wrestling to fucking beat Vince McMahon. And you're bringing in fucking who I think is the greatest pro wrestler of all time.
It's interesting because when Hogan did return to WWF in the early 2000s, he was brought back as a heel. And he was a heel at that time when he was negotiating. But the fans refused to accept him as a heel.
In WWE.
In WWE. Even after, as you pointed out earlier today, he ran over The Rock with a semi.
Right.
They still were going to cheer this guy. So it's interesting because he was right at the beginning of that really hot run with the NWO, and he could have potentially come back to WWF. What were the thoughts backstage behind what would we do with Hogan if he came back?
Well, the only ones that knew of that were myself, Vince, and the CEO at the time, Neville Meyer.
Then you guys talk about that at all, about how he would handle it, or just let's see if we can get him back first?
Well, it was simply a situation. His contract was up.
Yeah.
He had the ability to negotiate. He was negotiating. He was seeing what was out there, sending out feelers. And we were looking at, it was at the same time that Brett had been offered to go to WCW. His contract was coming up. It's like, okay, here's the money you've got. Does it go over here? Does it go over here? Hogan was a proven commodity. Brett wasn't really a proven commodity at that point, but we were banking on him. We were hoping he would be. And it was just something that we investigated. It was why the hell wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali shows up and he's available. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, let's see what we can do.
It doesn't hurt to talk, and I think I said it on there, but I remember when Vince went to meet him somewhere in Colorado, and said, "Well, you want to meet in the room?" I said, "No, we'll meet downstairs in the bar.
Make it public."
So I got nothing to hide. They know I'm negotiating.
Yeah.
So.
And then I think you pointed out that, Vince, ended the conversation with, if I make you an offer and it helps you, I'll do that. Which is just like, to me, people talk about the cutthroat Vince McMahon and, he'll do anything to cut you off at the knees. But to me, that was saying something of, here's a guy who's his big star, left, became a big star for the other company, made the other company what it was at the time, and you're still willing to say, hey, I'll help you out if I can.
Yeah, it's good business.
Don't burn bridges.
No, and it was good business. It's a double-edged sword too. We'll help you out, make them spend more money for you.
That's true.
So it can be looked at both ways.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
But at the same time, Vince was looking after the guy that had helped build his company and carried it on his back for a long time, in Hulk Hogan, and I think that was simply a gesture of help. He's done it for a lot of guys.
I met him out in Pensacola. I think that's where he was. He was from Pensacola. I think that's where he started. Anyway, that's where he would come to. They would come to Bullet Bob and want to have matches, and he wouldn't use them. Heck, I think this was even before Hogan was Hogan. They just put the Alabama heavyweight strap on me. It's the first belt that I ever got. Bob Armstrong put it on me, and Fuller's put it on me. They were the owners. Bob was the booker, but and I may be wrong, but brother, they said, I want you to go to the ring, and I want you to beat the living fire out of this guy, just put the belt on the table there and pack your bags and leave. So okay, I think I can. I'll try my best. I was Man Mountain Harris at the time, and I went out there. This little skinny guy. He's about 6'5", 6'6", the skinny guy. And I pounded him and pounded him and pounded him. Told him I was sorry. Pounded him, pinned him, beat him up pretty much like I was told, and pinned him 1, 2, 3, and went home. And about 8 years later, I turned on the Deadgum TV, and there's that little skinny guy on TV carrying the WWE heavyweight belt, and it's Hulk Hogan. And I said, no, if I ever have to go up there, boy, I'm gonna have to face that one. I know. Yeah. But when I did go up there, Terry would, Terry. How you doing, brother? Yeah, fine, man, fine.
Were there ever plans during that period when you were as over as you were, working with Randy Savage, working with Warrior, all those other people you work with, to have you program with Hogan and work the top of the card, or was that never?
They tried that. We're at the top of the fucking card. Fuck you.
I'm sorry.
I was the top of the card, bro.
I don't mean like that.
What a piece of shit.
I don't mean like that.
You Bill Watts' buddy? I was working the main events. They tried to put me with Hogan, but you fans screwed me on that. Because he started chanting DDT, DDT, after I dropped him. And Vince looked at me and he goes, man, that ain't going to fly. What do you mean it's not going to fly? Because they're cheering for you. So they're just happy that, whatever. And so we tried it in 2 towns. We sold out those cities, turned people away. And I said, there. Can't beat that. Not going to happen. Why? Because they're chanting for you. Does it fucking matter who they're chanting for? The seats are sold out. That's going to screw with our marketing. Yeah. So that was the end of that. So my job became getting the next bad guy ready for Hogan. So if Hogan was in Los Angeles, I would be in San Francisco. And getting beat by the next card was going to be Hogan versus this guy, that just beat me. But it was a lucrative job. I hated the fact that I was never given the belt, but that was a lot of my fault because of my addictions. I want to say this. I never meant to cheat the fans out of a good match. Even when I was high or hungover. In those instances, I would wind up going out there and giving you twice the time because I was so angry with myself that I'd allowed myself to be in not proper at the time. I often wonder how well it would have went if it had not had problems. Sometimes when you have problems, you learn a lot. And I certainly learned that alcohol and drugs aren't good for you and that it can hurt your career and it can hurt your family. The last one I care about. In the last 5 years, I've gotten myself back in the right world with the help of Diamond Dallas Page and others. I've been clean now for 5 years, and now that's one that I didn't think would ever happen because I was that hooked.
Did you work with Hulk in the States at all?
With Terry Bollea one time in the Checkerdome in St. Louis when he came in out of AWA. Harley was in Sam Munchkin, something like that. They ran the Kill Auditorium and we did the big show at Checkerdome, and I had to wrestle him. And Harley says, "You go out there and see what you can do with that boy." I just beat him up, stretched him a little bit, Terry Bollea. Of course, then he made the movie and became Hulk Hogan. What I believe is like Andre the Giant couldn't stand the guy. Andre the Giant had pride in being a wrestler. He didn't see himself as a gimmick, even though he said, seventh wonder of the world, whatever. But he enjoyed wrestling. I watched matches between him and Mulligan, singles. They were awesome. They were awesome matches. Both those big men wrestling. Andre can work. He couldn't stand Hogan.
Was the Dungeon of Doom created as a heel feeder system for Hogan?
I felt when I came to the Dungeon of Doom, except for Ming, and this is no disrespect to anybody else, I was coming out of the clown car at Byron Bailey's, okay? I knew what my end result was. I was going to have to turn him heel, right? Mm-hmm. but I knew all these guys he brought in didn't fit. You know, what's wrong with this picture?
Right.
They didn't fit, but I couldn't put them in a bunch of matches. So I said, oh, let's make the Dungeon of Doom. How corny is that, right? And I mean, that was the
I kind of
Temple
liked
Doom.
it,
Yeah.
but that was just me.
But a lot of people have liked it. As it's gotten, the years have gone by, a lot of
Sure.
people liked it. But I said, that way he can beat everybody
Right.
without hurting anybody.
So it was created that.
That was my idea. He can beat anybody. He can lay us all, 10 of us on top of one another and beat us, and nobody gets hurt. I don't hurt Guerrero. I don't hurt Satin. I don't hurt Malenko. I don't hurt Jericho. I save these young guys, you know what I mean? It's
Right,
like,
you can have him take on Kamala and Beefcake
Yeah,
and
yeah,
makeup
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's actually good thinking.
Well, thank you. To be a successful draw, this is my opinion, you got to get out of your comfort zone. I think that's why The Rock is such a big star. Remember when he did the gay guy, the gay black guy?
Yep.
Get Shorty? Was
Yeah.
that it?
No. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll take any, you know, Baywatch, everybody shit on that, but it drew a lot of money. He's not afraid to get out of his character. Hogan was afraid to even get his toe close to the line, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, if the Shack works, this kid's... See, Hogan's deal where he hated the guys underneath they were 5'9", 5'10". He's 6'6" at the time.
This is his mentality.
Yeah, he has to beat a Yeti. First time probably he ever heard of a Yeti, you know what I mean? And he decided to wrap the guy up, but he was a big guy. I mean, we had guys, I was looking at him sometimes at the Dungeon of Doom, that he, you know, I love John Tenta. John Tenta was a wonderful human being. John Tenta was a legitimate tough guy. John Tenta should have been in a different thing, not the Shock. You know what I mean?
I mean, what came next for him was very odd. Remember, he shaved
Yeah,
half his head.
yeah.
I'm not a shark. I'm
Yeah.
a human.
Yeah, and that was, I think that was because of the Brutus thing. Remember the yes, no, yes,
Zodiac.
no. Yeah, come on. Yes, no, yes, no. I mean,
Whose idea was that?
Hogan's. Hogan, I got to give him credit for this. When he's loyal to the end. But I had kept my friends' jobs, okay, and I'll tell you who they were. I kept Bobby Eaton a job when they didn't want to use Bobby Eaton. But he wasn't making a lot of money, okay, and he had a family. And would you say, both of you, that Bobby Eaton's one of the greatest performers of all time?
Sure.
100%.
Bob and Ming, I kept them jobs. Maybe it's because I finally booked them against each other and I wanted to see that match. You know, I'm kidding there. They were my friends. They're hard workers. They deserved it, but I didn't pay them $500,000. They didn't get paid. I didn't have anything to do with pay. They didn't get paid $500,000. They got paid below their standard, but I kept my friends that I could a job because, I'll give you another example. Virgil, I kept him a job. You know why?
Why?
I could call Virgil at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and say, Virgil, Buff Bagwell can't make the town. You need to make the town. When's the flight, Kevin? 3:30. Okay, I'll be there. He never missed. Never missed. Whether anybody whatever they think about Virgil, he's a hard-working man. He was there for me. Okay, maybe he didn't give you a 4-star match, but it was better than not having a match at all. You know, when I left the wrestling business, I got into different businesses and I built a gym, bought property, blah, blah, blah. Taz called me one time and says, Hulk wants you to give him a call. I said, why? He said, I think he wants you to come in. This is in TNA. So I wrote some things down. I watched them for the first time, wrote some things down. He called me and he said, hey, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I looked at the show and this is what's wrong. He flipped because I didn't put him first. I went from the first match to his shit. It was like, whoa. You're trying to straighten this whole thing out and you're not really worried about me. And at that point, I really wasn't, because he's Hulk Hogan. I don't think that he has a lot of self-confidence now. And I think that came when, when we brought him back from Thunder in Paradise?
Yes.
Look at him when he came back from Thunder in Paradise from WrestleMania 3. He was a shell of himself. He was bent over when he was doing his interviews. It was only when he got with Nash and Hall, and they stepped back to let him, they propped him up. They really did.